everyone, and welcome to episode number 8 of the Nord and Block podcast. It is midnight on March 10th, 2024. The clocks are being turned forward an hour. We get an extra hour of sunlight. Anyways, I'm your host here, Nordic97, joined by my other host, LeBlock James. How we doing?
We are doing fantastic.
Well, I'm doing terrible for one because they're taking away an hour of sleep from us, but anyways. So recently, a few days ago, was the NHL trade deadline. It is concluded, and it was a pretty chaotic week. There were plenty of trades, plenty of things to talk about, and we debated on what kind of ways we would talk about all the deadline moves, and we decided that we would do a tier list where we would tier the teams based on how we felt they did, and that would be our opportunity to talk about certain teams and say, well, this team did this team did that, and here's what we think about it. So I'm going to let LeBlanc take over. We're going to get straight into the deadline tier list because it's probably going to take a while.
It's going to be it's going to be a fun little activity here. We all love tier lists. So we have the categories on the side. We have A, which means you killed it, you had a great deadline. And F, where basically you dropped the ball and you ate shit. So we're gonna take turns going back and forth. Doing teams. I'm actually gonna go first on this one. Yeah, I'm gonna go first because I made the tier list.
Okay.
Saying what we thought of the deadline for each team. And, yeah.
These are by division. And LeBlanc, by the way, the Arizona Coyotes are not in the Pacific Division.
I would like to apologize to all Arizona Coyotes fans out there because the Sharks... There, fixed.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
All right, the Anaheim Ducks. Let's see, the Anaheim Ducks traded away Adam Henrique and Sam Carrick to Edmonton for a first and a fifth. They traded Labushkin for a third and a fifth. And I mean, those were the only two notable moves that they made. And I think they did pretty well on those trades. But I'm gonna put them actually I'll put them in B. I think they had a decent deadline. Like, it wasn't like anything over the top, but they still made out pretty good.
I agree. I think Anaheim, getting a first-round pick for Adam Henrique, I think, is very solid, even though Henrique's been really good. I think, too, the Labushkin trade was also another one. I think a lot of people expected that Frank Petrano was going to get moved, and additionally, too, John Gibson is always in rumors. So, obviously, those were guys that we thought were going to get moved, but didn't. Still, though, I think Anaheim had a pretty good deadline. I give them a B. And, I mean, hey, they add another first-round pick to an already stacked core of just first-round picks. So they're in a good spot right now. I guess I got San Jose. San Jose obviously traded Anthony Duclair for Jack Thompson and a third. They also traded Tomas Hertl and a shocker for a first and David Edstrom. I believe that's all they did. I think they might have done maybe one or two other, maybe one more move.
They did a few minor trades. They got a Vitek Vanacek from the Devils.
That's right, they did. They traded Kakkonen away. I think that Vanacek will flourish in San Jose. I think he'll do very well. Surprisingly. That's just because I think that, like, any goalie that goes from the Devils to the Sharks does well. So, just what I'm saying. But with San Jose, I give him a C. I think a lot of what they did at this deadline was more or less to move out some of the contracts. And what they got back in return, like, Jack Thompson's a really solid prospect. A first-round pick for Tomas Hertl is great as well. And then additionally, too, David Enstrom's looking like a pretty solid prospect that was drafted late in a deep draft. So, obviously they could have done better, but I still think they did okay. So I give them a C.
I also want to say that, like, with the Tomas Hertl trade, we'll get into that later in the episode, but, like, retaining on Tomas Hertl for that long, you already have two. I think all their slots for this year anyway are taken up now. but going forward, they have 2 slots that are going to be occupied for the next 4 years.
That might affect a lot of the trades they make in throughout this rebuild.
Mm-hmm. So
So
I agree with Evan. I would put them in if they weren't retaining and they didn't give up the 2/3 to get rid of Tomas Hertl, I would give them a B. But I think C is probably the perfect spot for them.
yeah, I agree. All right.
Looks like I have the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers, I feel like they got Henrique and Carrick, and they got Troy Stecher, and I believe that's all they did. When
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's all they
essentially.
did. And I think they needed a winger, and they really didn't get a winger. And on the other day, Ken Holland's like, I'm gonna just kick my feet up and relax. Maybe there weren't trade moves out there, but I think I like Henrique being added, and Stetcher's a good depth defenseman. But honestly, the Oilers, I think it's a C. Like it was good, but it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat with you for this one. I think that getting Henrique's a good move. Getting a fourth liner and Carrick's a good move. Getting Stetcher is kind of like, it's not a bad move. It's a good defensive depth defender. But besides that, they didn't do a whole lot, and that the Henrique move was their biggest move, and that's kind of saying something. So yeah, I'd say a C is the right place. Calgary. You look at Calgary on deadline day, they didn't do a ton. They traded Hannafin, I think the night before or 2 nights before. They traded Tanev earlier on, and then additionally too, they moved Elias Lindholm. I believe they have the pick that Vegas gave them was the 2026 first.
2026, yeah, it's in not this. It's in 3 drafts from now, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then the one they got from Vancouver was obviously this year. So they'll have 2 first-round picks this year. They got a good guy in Kuzmenko, a solid prospect in Vucevic. I think they made I think they started this little teardown they're doing kind of well, but the Tanev deal was underwhelming. The Hannafin deal was a little bit underwhelming. I don't know. I'm leaning C, but I don't know. LeBlanc, what do you think? I need
I
some
think they
input.
should go in B because of the amount of assets they did acquire in this teardown.
That's what I was thinking. But I was leaning
because
C because of the underwhelming returns.
because like the Hannafin deal, yes, it's basically a first and a second because the condition on the third is if and then you get a defendant who didn't really get a chance in Vegas. Tanev deal is a little underwhelming, but that was the market for Tanev. It was a second round pick was the ask. So, and then Lindholm.
I'm gonna agree. I'm actually gonna agree with you. I didn't think of it that way. All right, you got the Kings. Kings did nothing, so have fun. I mean, you really can't put them anywhere else if they did nothing. To be honest with you. Yeah, I agree. Vegas, I think they did out very well. They got Tomas Hertl. I get them mixed up a lot. They got Tomas Hertl. They got Noah Hannafin. They also, that's all the big moves. That I believe they. What else did they do? Mantha as well, another good solid, additional secondary scoring winger. They got Hurdle. I think it's an A. I think they did really well. The assets they gave up, they didn't give up a lot that was affordable or they didn't give up anything that was like heavily concerning. So I give them an A personally. Pretty much. Yeah, basically. I but I will say something in here. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's fair. I think if they did more and got like someone like Jake Gensel, then I think you could say, yeah, 100%. But I think it's a B, and I'm not mad at what they did. I'm not mad that they didn't get Gensel. I think a lot of giving up a lot for Lindholm was to show Pedersen. I think that was the biggest thing because what we're forgetting is that Pedersen did sign an extension um, during the time frame between the first trade and the end of the deadline. So yeah, I give him a B. I agree. Seattle, I believe traded Wenberg and re-signed Eberle. I think that's all they did. I mean Wenberg, they got back what the market was for him. Essentially, they got back I think a second and a third, or wait, no, was it a third and a fourth, somewhere around. Yeah, so somewhere along those lines, basically what the market should be for a guy like Alex Wenberg. But even though that's all they really did, I'm gonna give him a C, just kind of because that's like that mid tier. I think what they did wasn't bad, but I give him a C. Yeah. All right, that is it for the Pacific Division. Okay, we'll get into the Atlantic Division now, and LeBlanc, you'll start with Boston.
Boston, Andrew Peak, Pat Maroon. I think that's all they did, if I'm not mistaken,
I
or if I'm missing
believe
something.
so. Yeah.
Andrew Peak's a young defender who has term, so for Boston that works out. You can get multiple playoff runs. Pat Maroon provides that grit, and like it's Pat Maroon, you know what you're getting with him. Boston, I think, did pretty well, and they didn't really move many big assets to do it. So I honestly think Boston's a B.
I think a lot of people will say that they're C's, but you could definitely make the argument for B. They didn't give up a
I
whole
mean, I
lot
mean, I'm
for a
open to moving them
solid.
down to C.
No, no, I'm not. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think a lot of people will see like, oh, Pat Maroon and Andrew Peak, not a big name player, and resort them down to C. But I think that getting a guy like Peak for virtually nothing and getting a guy like Maroon for virtually nothing is good for this Bruins team. Buffalo. Fuck, what a Buffalo. They traded Eric Johnson. They traded Millstat. Millstat in a 1-for-1 deal with Bowen Byram. I think that's it. Oh, they traded Kyle
Eric
Okposo
John,
too. I thought
also,
that
yeah,
Okposo trade was a good wish to Florida because that's where Okposo wanted to go. I think that the
yeah.
Johnson deal, it's great to get Johnson out of there because he's been dookie in Philly. Um, and additionally, I think that the Middlestat Byram deal will really helps them because I feel like offense isn't really the problem with this team. I feel like they have the offensive power. It's the defense that kills them. And getting a guy like Bowen Byram could really go a long way for this Sabres team for sure. So I'd give them a C. I think that they had some good moves,
Um,
some bad moves. I think they go right in the middle.
I'm going to agree with you there. The thing about the Bowen Byram trade is that now Buffalo has 5 left-handed Ds in their starting lineup,
That is
which
true.
is going to cause problems down the road.
Oh, for sure.
All right, the Ottawa Senators. They only traded Tarasenko. I'll be honest. I don't think it's an F because if they could have got a worse return for Tarasenko. I think it's a D though. You didn't do any other moves. You could have made other moves to get more picks in for uh, this upcoming draft, but you didn't do nothing. But what you did was really lackluster. So D.
Yeah, I agree with you. They didn't do a lot. I don't think you can really put them much higher. Even when we heard that there was going to be like a fire sale in Ottawa, Kubalik was going to get traded, such and such, and Corpusalo, not Corpusalo, Chikrin maybe, but
Chikrin.
nope, didn't happen. So yeah, I give him a D. Montreal traded Allen to the Devils. They traded Monahan to the Jets. I think that's all they did.
Yeah, but they
I
got good
believe
values for
so.
both guys though.
Yeah, no, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that's all they did. They got a first round pick back for Monahan, which was great. I can't remember the return on Allen, but I know that they moved him out. They got that contract out of there, so that's good. I give him a B. To be honest, I think they
Yeah,
did
I
really
think.
well.
Yeah, they also acquired Jacob Perreault.
They did. That's true. I kind of agree with you because I think that like I understand that Toronto doesn't have a lot of cap space. They didn't have a lot of options to make many moves. But at the same time, you would think that there are some very clear issues in Toronto. They really didn't get addressed personally. I think that they made some decent moves on the blue line, but nothing that's going to fix that issue that is there. So I kind of agree with you to give them a D. I think that's fair. Detroit, they didn't do a whole lot. And I'm not really mad that they didn't do a whole lot. They only traded Clem Costin for CMAC. That's about it. But realistically, when you think about it, what was the expectation?
The
Were they
expectation was
really
they were going
supposed
to
to buy?
stand
Were they
pat.
really supposed to sell?
The expectation was they're going to stand pat, and honestly, I think they did the right thing by standing pat.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess C because that's like the mid tier
Yeah, I was going to
for a
say
team
like
that stands
C
pat.
because it's like it's neutral enough where you didn't do nothing, but it's not a bad thing you didn't do nothing.
No, it's not. And I think Detroit too. They're in a spot where like no, not really many people expected them to be. People still thought they were going to be in the rebuild, but they're doing really well this season. So
Mm-hmm.
I think C's fair.
Ooh, I have Florida. Slam dunk. I think they're up there with Vegas. Absolute slam dunk. Got Tarasenko, who wanted to go there for pennies on the dollar. Get a lot of good debt moves. You get Okposo. Who else did they get from that? Oposo, and then they got somebody else. I am blanking right now. They got
I'm blanking too.
wow. I am blank. I had it in my head a second ago.
Technical difficulties. Bum. Boom, boom.
Yeah, it was
He's got it, guys.
Oposo.
He's got Panthers jerseys galore.
Yeah. Oposo and then Magnus Hellberg. Yeah, that's about it. But I think still those two moves are those 2 to 3 moves are really going to pay off for Florida, and I think Florida looks dangerous right now, and I think they made the right moves. They needed a scoring depth winger, and they got that. They got a really good one for cheap, so I think it's an A.
I agree. They got Tarasenko for virtually nothing. I think you give them an A. And finally, Tampa. They got Duclair for essentially nothing. They got Matt Dumba. What the hell? Then they also, I think I don't think they made any more moves.
I don't think so either.
So I don't know. They did really well in the Duclair deal, but getting Matt Dumba is, I feel like, really going to bite him in the butt. I'm going to give him a. What do you think, B or C?
I think C is appropriate.
I think, yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But I didn't know if you thought the Duclair deal was good enough to put them there.
I think the Duclair deal is awesome, and I feel like Matt Dumba is going to have a bit of a resurgence in Tampa. Not going to be playing a lot of minutes like he is in Arizona. Maybe get to take a nice little back seat. So I feel like, Tampa did all right.
I hope so too. We're just gonna go straight into Metropolitan. You start off with Carolina.
For sure. Jake Gensel I think Carolina stole Jake Gensel from the Penguins. I think it's an A. You could say
I agree.
B,
Even like with Kuznetsov.
And Kuznetsov, and I think the Kuznetsov deal. I really like the Kuznetsov deal for Carolina. So I think it's an A. I think they did.
What I say. Yeah. The craziest part about the Gensel deal is that the prospects they gave up are pretty decent prospects. Like Koivinen's tearing it up in the finish. Ponomarev's a really solid AHLer right now. Lucius, I don't know a whole lot about, and then getting probably potentially, giving up their first, but maybe not, is really good for this Hurricanes team, and it just shows that they can just give up those guys for no just cause, and they're still going to be good, and they still have a pretty decent pool. They got Nikoshin, they got Rees, they got Suzuki. They still have some decent guys in the pipeline, including the guys they drafted this year. So
Scott Morrow as well.
Yeah.
And Don Waddell for years has been criticized for not being aggressive enough. This doesn't look.
Well, there you go.
This doesn't look assertive to me. This looks very aggressive, and honestly, I'm good on Waddell finally getting over that we got to do something hump, because made a big move, gave up some good prospects, but didn't give up a lot of draft capital.
Yeah, I'm genuinely so hyped to see Jake Gensel and the Hurricanes in the playoffs. Not as a Flyers fan, but as a hockey fan. But yeah, I agree. I give him an A. New York, in the same column as LA, did nothing. So I'm going to put him an F. Just no argument.
I have a counter argument to you, actually, because I feel like the Islanders, like last year, they shouldn't have done anything, and they did something, and they got criticized. This year, they shouldn't have done anything, and they got criticized for not doing anything. So I feel like, and like the Islanders are right there, but I feel like they didn't have to go get anything, because if they miss playoffs, it's a big deal, but it's not like it's the end of the world.
It's a good way to look at it, actually. So you're thinking C?
I'm thinking the same thing as Detroit, but I could settle for D though.
I think actually, yeah, we'll go C, because actually Lou Lamoriello said that if we have the option to go out and get a guy, we would, but the expectation is not. New Jersey.
Hmm.
Oh, you're up.
This one
up.
is actually tough, because there's so mixed opinion about what New Jersey did. I feel like trading for Jake Allen and trading for Capo Kakinen, you just slightly upgrade your tandem, not by a lot. Like you moved the needle, maybe like if this is the needle, is this Vitek and Schmid and Dawes. This is Allen, Kakkonen, and Dawes. It's a slight movement. Toffoli, I think Toffoli he got good value for Colin Miller. You got decent value there. I think New Jersey did the right thing by selling. They accepted the fact that they're not going to make the playoffs. I think they did good, consider for their Miller and Toffoli. I think the goaltending is a whole other issue, but I give New Jersey like I could maybe go B, like a soft B.
Um, yeah, you can go B.
I think we're gonna put them in C. Like
It depends how like Allen and Kakinen do. I'm gonna do Flyers, even though Rangers are ahead of them. With Philadelphia, yeah, with Philadelphia, they obviously acquired Sean. They traded away Sean Walker for a first round pick and Ryan Johansson. Johansson's battling injuries. The first round pick, it is 2025. However, oh my god, really? I will do Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, they traded away Sean Walker for a first and Ryan Johansson. Johansson's battling injuries. They also got Dennis Gurianov for Wade Allison and traded for Eric Johnson for I think a fourth or a sixth, one of the two. So what I would say with Philadelphia is I'm gonna put them in the B tier. I think that Gurianov can be a really solid middle to bottom six forward on this team. I think they traded away Sean Walker. They got back a first in 2025. However, that 2025 draft is going to be deep. So that's what people need to take into consideration. So I think that's a good asset move by Danny Briere. And I think overall, they're deserving of a B.
I think the Sean Walker trade's a slam dunk. I think Philadelphia really did well on that. I don't like bringing in Eric Johnson that much.
I fucking hate it. Just want to
Um,
say that.
like I get bringing in a veteran defenseman, but Eric Johnson is just he's a former first overall pick, but he's not what he once was.
Not at all.
I think Gurianov, that's an underrated trade right there. I agree with you. I think it's a B. I think it's a B. The New York Rangers. Honestly, they got a lot of slack. I remember on X, it was just sleepy Drury. Chris Drury's sleeping on the job. But at the end of the day, I think he got two like good bottom six players for fair value. I think they gave up a second and a fourth for Wenberg, and I think it was a second or a third for Roslovic. I forget.
I think it was only one pick for Roslovic.
Yeah, I think it was a third. I'm just gonna double check that so I don't think I'm talking out my ass. I don't think it's an A. I don't think it's an A by any stretch of the imagination. But it's definitely a B. I think the Rangers got what they needed, and they I think the Rangers got what they wanted, and they didn't have to give up a first round pick.
I think people will say that the Rangers did bad because they didn't go out and get a big name player. But I think what they did.
They got Chad Rudwheel from Pittsburgh.
That's true.
And Nick Patan from Minnesota.
But that being said, I think that obviously people say that they did bad because they didn't get like a good winger, but they didn't really need to go out and get a good winger, in my opinion. So I agree. I think you give him a B.
Sorry,
Pittsburgh.
It was Roslovic for a fourth.
That's what I figured. Pittsburgh. So the Penguins, they obviously they acquired They traded away Jay Gensel, not acquired him. They also traded away Chad Ruedel. They, I guess, lost the Gensel deal, but then again, I don't think they did that bad to any stretch of the imagination. It's not an A. They didn't move Riley Smith either. That was disappointing. I don't know. I'm leaning B, but what do you think?
I think I lean C because I feel like they could have got had a like a little fire sale, but them giving up, saying, "Hey, we're at this spot, we gotta give up these guys." I think that's fair, and I think a B's fine with me.
Yeah, I think B personally. I think they did well for the Gensel deal,
They
considering
also
the.
got Emil Benstrom for Alex Nylander, and Alex Nylander is tearing it up right now.
That's very true. So
Washington. I think Washington did very well. I think they did extremely, extremely well. If I can get their deals up right here, because I'm not. They traded away Kuznetsov, got that contract off the books for next season.
trade away Mantha.
Edmondson for a third and a fifth. That's really good value there. Mantha for a second and a fourth. Also very good value. Yeah, I think they did very well. They sold. They gave up. They said, "Hey, let's sell because we're probably not making playoffs." I know I've said that multiple times for multiple teams, but it's true. I'm sorry, but I think Washington did very well. I think Washington, like for what they got, like a B. Like
I kind of agree with you. I think B's deserving too.
I don't think it's an A, but I think it's definitely a B.
Yeah. All right. Columbus. I'll finish it off with Columbus. They got Peak, or they traded away Peak. They traded away Roslovic. I think that's it. They did the Nylander deal too.
Yeah.
That's it though. I think that's a C. I think they got solid value, I guess, for Roslovic. I guess decent value for Peak, but it's kind of underwhelming,
They
in my
also got
opinion.
Malcolm Subban.
A. A.
I think Peak they got really good value. I think Zaboral in Columbus is gonna be.
Oh, they got Zabora. Oh,
Yeah,
I
they got
I
Zaboral
forgot
and a
about that.
third round pick for Peak. I think that's a solid trade for Columbus.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think C is good. I would have them as a low B, but I think a C is perfectly fine with me.
Yeah, I'm a roll with C. I think it's the average spot for Columbus, personally.
One more to go.
Chicago, you're up.
Chicago. I am now trying to think of what Chicago did. Because
They did Bavillier.
There's nothing. Yes, Beauvillier to Nashville. I got the deals up here. Yeah. Other than that, they haven't. They got Rem picked like 2 months ago. But other than that, just Beauvillier. I thought Tyler Johnson would have been on the menu. But yeah, like Chicago, they didn't really have any assets to give away.
Not really.
So like for what they got for Beauvillier, I don't want to put it as a D, but I think a C is good for them because maybe even a D because they didn't really get much value for Beauvillier.
Oh man, the Toronto fans are gonna be mad at you. Same tier as Chicago.
We'll put it.
But yeah, I think D's.
We're really mad. We put Chicago up in C.
I think low C, high D. I think is fair.
Yeah. We'll put them in D for now, and we'll come back to it after.
Yeah. Colorado. Colorado made the move for Middlestat. Great trade. I think they did very well on that, acquiring a solid player, good second like second line center, good secondary scoring. What else did they do? They got Sean Walker. I think Walker was a good move.
Yakov Trenin from Nashville.
Trenin as well. Good
and they
fourth
got
liner.
Brandon Duhaime from Minnesota, which I think is a
That's
very
right.
underrated pickup.
Duhaime's an underrated pickup. I'm gonna give him a B. I think you could argue they overpaid a little bit for Walker, but I think they still did well. And then I think the Duhaime deal was good.
Honestly, I think Colorado should get an A.
Hmm.
Because you think about their first round pick, they gave Philly that first to take on Johansson as well.
You're right. I agree with you now. I think they should be an A.
Yeah, I think Colorado, in my opinion, I think they won the deadline. I really love the moves they made. I love the Middlestat trade. I think Middlestat in Colorado is going to flourish. I like Trennan and I've been a fan of Brandon Duhaime for a very long time, and I think he's a very good bottom sixer. Jakob Trennan provides that grit you need. I know you might sound like I'm glazing Colorado because I am, because they had a really good deadline.
Yeah, I think A justifiable.
Yeah. Dallas. Oh, Dallas. They got Tanev. I think that's all they did.
It's pretty much all they needed to do.
And that's all they needed because they have their scoring touch now, so it's not really, they just need another defenseman. And they got Tanev. That's it. So I think they did good on the Tanev deal, though. I think it's a B.
I agree. I think a B is justifiable. Minnesota. They did Duhaime. I think that's it.
They actually, I know they had a few other moves. Hang on.
Pat Maroon.
Pat Maroon.
Patan,
yes. Dewar to Toronto for Ovechkinikov. I'm not good at pronouncing the names. Duhaime. Yeah, that's about it. I think Minnesota didn't. They had some guys that could give away, and they did what they could.
I think that's a C.
Duhaime for a third's pretty good value.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe a B.
I think it's low B.
It'd be a low B, yeah. But yeah.
Nashville makes no sense to me because they were on a heater, then they bought, and they also sold, though.
Philly did the same thing.
Yeah, Philly did a similar thing to Nashville. So Nashville, they got Gurianov from Philly, like we previously said. They got Jason Zucker for a 6, but they took on his full contract, but they had the money, so it's not that big a deal. Beauvillier for a 5th, really good value there. They traded Yakov Trenin for a 3rd-round pick and a prospect. And yeah, that's really all they did. And I think they got really good value for their guys. Like, I'm kind of tempted to give them an A because of the value here. I think we'll go B. I think they had a really good. I think they did well.
I think you could argue it, but I'm gonna go B as well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Gurianov trade to Nashville, but other than that, I think they had a really good deadline.
Yeah. I will do Arizona because that's my other team. Arizona, yep. I believe, made the Dumba move. They made the Zucker move. They made the Stetcher move. I think that's it. Honestly, we're getting to the point, even though Arizona's not in the playoff race. Thank you to the 14-game losing streak. They definitely did what they could. I don't know if that justifies. I feel a C. I guess you could argue a B.
I think C. Because they did what they could.
Yeah,
but
none of what they got back in return was like mind-boggling to me or like necessarily great.
They also gave picks up to get rid of guys too. Like Dumba, they gave away another pick along with him. Same with Stetcher.
Oh yeah, I would give a 1st-round pick to get rid of Dumba. That fucking garbage guy.
I still find it funny how the price for Dumba was a 1st-round pick and they settled on a 5th.
That's what I told y'all. I'm like, it said Walker, Tanev, and Dumba. I'm like, one of these ain't like the other. So yeah, a C I think is justifiable.
I'm gonna do Winnipeg because a friend of our show, a fan of Winnipeg, and I was given material to say. So,
Okay.
uh, I think Winnipeg did very well. Monahan's for a first, and a weak center market. That is the value you get from Monahan, and Monahan's been extremely well in that second line in Winnipeg. And then you pick up Toffoli, who they needed a winger. They needed a winger, and they got a winger at very good value, a second and a third. And then they got Colin Miller, another depth defenseman. Winnipeg, you could argue, is an A.
I would say so. I think Monahan's a good move. I think that Toffoli's a good move. I think you could give him an A.
And then
and last but not least, the St. Louis Blues. The Blues didn't do much. I think they traded away Malcolm Subban. Is that it?
That's really about, and they extended Sundqvist. I think that's really all they did.
I don't know. I feel like.
Sorry, going back to Nashville real quick. They also extended Novak.
That too. They did that as well.
Yeah, no. All they did was trade Subban for future. That's really all they did. I mean, you could justify saying, "Oh, they kept Buchnevich because the value wasn't there," and that's fair. Like to not move Buchnevich in a rush. So, and like St. Louis is still in the playoff race technically.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think they didn't do anything, but they didn't really need to do anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
They're clearly not ready to sell or give up on this core. So I think it's like you could argue it's a D because they didn't really do anything, but you could also argue it's a C because they also didn't do anything.
I don't know. It's kind of a toss up in my opinion.
Hang on. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Flip a coin. It's heads.
Okay, so they're C?
It's D. You lost. It's
whatever.
Alright,
that's our deadline tier list.
Yes, I'm just going to, anything we want to switch real quick, I'm going to list these out. From top A, we got Vegas, Florida, Carolina, Avalanche, Jets.
Seems right.
In B, Anaheim, Calgary, Vancouver, Boston, Montreal, Philly, Rangers, Pittsburgh, Washington, Dallas, Minnesota, Nashville.
I think that's pretty justifiable.
Yeah. C, we have the Sharks, the Oilers, the Kraken, the Sabres, the Red Wings, the Lightning, the Islanders, the Devils, the Jackets, and the Coyotes.
I like that as well.
D, Ottawa, Toronto, Chicago, St. Louis.
Agreed.
And in F, we have the Kings because they should have done something. They didn't do anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a pretty good list.
And now I'm just going to ask you this right now. What was your favorite move of the deadline?
Ooh, favorite move? The Hurdle move was pretty fire.
That one wasn't my favorite, but like it was like what whoa. It was like one of those like what the hell? Like it was. I says every year we get a deal at like this is out of left field. This was out of left freaking field, dude.
Yep.
I think my favorite move of the deadline. Ooh, I think it's still Gensel.
Yeah, that's another good one too. I think the Hurricanes did really well.
And then, what do you think was the worst move of the deadline?
I mean, like, it depends on how you look at it. Like the
Mhm.
worst move, meaning like who lost the worst.
Yeah, yeah. We
Probably,
go like
probably,
who's the biggest loser in your opinion?
probably the Tarasenko trade for Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. But for context, Ottawa's hands were tied.
Yes, that I do play a factor in. I don't know.
I
I
mean,
just can't think of any that I didn't really like.
I mean, I still think the Edmondson trade isn't that great.
Yeah, not really. To be honest, that's an argument too.
Yeah, I think the Jake Allen trade to New Jersey just makes like for New Jersey, it's not that great. But other than that, I think there wasn't really that many bad deals. Tarasenko's up there too, for sure. Um, but yeah, now I'm gonna ask you this: going into the playoffs, who are you most scared of now?
I think on the East you got to take Carolina. On the West, I think it's Vegas again.
If Vegas is a low seed, that's scary. Like that's a low seed.
They're gonna play Vancouver.
And if I'll be, I think Vancouver can give them a run for their money, but if they have a fully healthy Vegas team, that's gonna be a very big challenge for Vancouver.
Absolutely, I think that it's gonna come down to more or less if Mark Stone's playing or not, which he probably isn't. So
But Hurdo will be back by then.
that's what so they say. Yeah.
Yeah. On the East, I still think you need to take Florida seriously. Like Florida is
Yeah,
just like
that's true.
it doesn't remind me what like you say. Oh, well, what about Boston last year? This is not Boston like this is Florida's like beating teams with ease, like by 3 or more goals every night.
Yeah, Florida's up there too. I didn't think of
And
Florida.
then in the West, I think I don't want to play Colorado. I really don't want to play Colorado.
To be fair though, that's been the expectation for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's true. But then, yeah, but Vegas, like Vegas, like I don't want to say they can't keep getting away with this, but
They can't keep getting away with this.
all right, I think we're gonna close it out here. But to end it off, I want your conference finals and Stanley Cup pick.
All right, what in the East? I'm gonna go with Florida
Over who?
over. Oh my God, I don't know. God, these playoffs are so unpredictable.
I know.
Um, I guess Carolina again.
Okay.
In the West, Dallas over Vegas.
Okay. Okay. I
And then
in
the
the
Stanley Cup.
East.
Oh, I'll let you. I'll
Oh,
let you go.
sorry. Who's your? Okay, we'll do our cup picks in the middle. But in the East, I have the call me basic. I have the Florida Panthers over the New York Rangers.
Basic bitch.
Yeah, and then in the West, I got a spicy one. I have the Colorado Avalanche beating the Vancouver Canucks.
That'd be a fun series.
That
I
will
will
be a
say
very
that.
fun series.
And
And then
then,
I want Winnipeg to get up there too, but like if Winnipeg was in on any other division, I think they could go on a run.
oh, for sure.
Yeah, and then so my cup final is Avalanche Panthers rematch of '96,
I got Stars Panthers.
and I'm gonna take Florida over the Avs.
Dallas in 7. Dallas in 7.
Charleston 7. Though I want to pick Colorado. I realize I've been glazing Colorado all episode, but I really like Colorado. And no, fuck it. Colorado in 7. I'm not picking Florida. Colorado.
LeBlanc changes his pick midway through.
Yeah. So I think that's gonna do it for this episode of the LeBlanc Cast. Little host switch up last minute proof for the episode, but
Yeah, it is what it is.
yeah. Thanks for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. If you're watching on streaming platform, tell your friends about us, and stay tuned for the next episode. Also, check out the Nord and Blockcast Instagram page. That is the Nord and Blockcast on Instagram. We post pretty good content on there, I'd say.
Graphics, clips, everything.
Graphics, opinion pieces. Soon.
Some graphics we make never show up on the podcast, so you see exclusive content there.
That's true. Until next time, we will see you in the next episode of the Nord and Block content podcast. Ciao for now.
Adios.